Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to Conversations with Teresa. I'm your host, Teresa Aline. It's Monday. It's 8:30. It is time to get our conversation on. So tonight's episode is one I've been looking forward to. It's because we're diving into the questions that so many people may not even know to ask about perimenopause or may be afraid to talk about out loud. So if you know me, I'm one of those people that I just put it out there. What's the harm, right? I don't know. I don't know how God made me that way, but amen. So if you're like me, I felt like perimenopause came and just like slapped me in the face, you know? And so I didn't have questions about perimenopause. I didn't know to have questions about perimenopause. I just knew that something was going on that didn't seem quite right. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So, if you're here for the first time, welcome. This is a safe space. I'm Teresa, your midlife mentor, your keynote speaker, and your guide to thrive through perimenopause. We're not just surviving it, right? We are thriving through it. So, let's get it on. I'm going to tell you about a couple of questions, a few questions, 5 questions that came to mind. So, because like one of the things I thought, one of the first things that came to my mind was, am I losing my mind? That was like the biggest thing. So many of us, like we can quietly panic when we can't remember a name, or we walk into a room and we forget why, or we lose track of what we were saying in mid sentence. Can anyone relate? Because that is really one of the first things that's made me start noticing that there is something that's going on. But really what's happening, it isn't you getting old, right? Because that's what we tend to think. It's just like, oh man, I'm 50 something years old. It's just me getting old. No, it's really our hormones that are fluctuating. We got the estrogen and we got the progesterone affecting our neurotransmitters. But because I didn't even know that I was in perimenopause, let alone asking some questions, I thought I had early onset dementia, and that was scary. It was scary not being able to say the words I wanted to. Like, I could describe something like it's the thing that you hold in your hand and you press buttons when you want to make a phone call. Oh, phone. Yeah, phone. Right. It was that type of moments that was scary, because how is it that I can't remember what a phone is? I knew what it was, but I couldn't say it. The word wouldn't come out of my mouth. So there was a lot of, you know, yeah, just those feelings of being scared, like what's happening to my mind. All right. But let me encourage you with just, to take action. I want you to make sure that you give yourself grace, and a lot of grace. Slow down and figure out what are some of the things that is going to help. Is it, journaling, or maybe taking voice notes? I've definitely come to a realization that if it's not written down, it's probably not going to happen. Right. So lists become incredibly important. So as you write these things down and you become aware of them, you might see patterns around like your cycles when you are forgetting these words. Maybe you didn't get enough rest the night before. And rest is so important, so important. So let's just figure out how we can help each other out, but how you can really help yourself out in really understanding what's going on. All right. The second one, my husband likes to do two. So the second one is, why does my body feel like it's betraying me? That might be one of those questions. And so, one day your clothes fit, the next day they don't, and for me, most of them, they just stopped fitting. It wasn't a back and forth thing, right? But what I what I felt, what I have felt, what I still feel sometimes is, and what you could feel is that you're bloated or that you're inflamed. Your body is achy, like every part. of your body. Like, why is it achy like right here? You know, and it can be so frustrating. But you can also be sensitive to foods or smells, the things that you've normally gone through. It's just not the same anymore. And I want to make sure that you understand that you're not, what you're feeling, what you're going through, it's not failure. It's not like, I just couldn't lose that weight, or I just, didn't move around enough. It's your body giving you feedback. Your body's talking to you. When we were 20, we didn't listen to our body. We did whatever we wanted to do. But now we're like 45, 55 years old. Our body is like, listen to me. You gotta listen. All right. So let's start listening. One of the things that has helped me was to figure out non like anti-inflammatory foods. So I've learned turmeric is not something that I grew up with, but I love it. It tastes so good, whether it's tea or a cold drink. But you can put it in food. I love uh, curries, things like that. It is so, so super helpful. And for me, there's a certain time of day that I can have like processed sugar. And then if I want to sleep well, then it needs to be cut off probably like around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So think about what your body has been trying to tell you lately, and then make sure that you listen to your body. All right. So that's going to be important. All right. So the third one is, what if I don't feel sexy anymore? And, let's be real. It's not one of those things that, you go into the office and you're just like, hey, Sue, I don't feel sexy. Like, you're not talking about things like that. We're not talking about that, right? All up in the open, right? But it's not just how we're feeling, but it could even be our desire for sex. And that's not an easy thing to talk about. We don't want our partner to feel any sort of way that it's them, like it's really us. But then it could also have such an effect on our confidence, on how we look. We're looking at our bodies and we're feeling different things. But besides the physical, right, the physical look, we're dealing with dryness, we're dealing with fatigue and body image, and again, body weight uh, adding on, and all of those things play a role. But here's the truth: the sensuality evolves, like it doesn't disappear. And so when this season, let's invite a deeper connection, like not performative, not like, oh, I got to do this many times or whatever, but it's really personal. Consider the things that really appeal to you and what makes you feel good or in the mood. All right. So yes, consider those things. And as we do consider those things, it really does help us to get in touch so much better. So reclaim your pleasure on your own terms. Maybe it's dancing, maybe it's movement, maybe it's the lighting, maybe it's, music. I don't know. Whatever it is, you get a chance to claim it or reclaim it at this point. So again, perimenopause, it's an awesome time in life. Okay. So here's another one. Why does anxiety hit me out of nowhere? And I tell you, that was one of those things. Besides I couldn't remember the words. I literally was scared. I felt like I was in this constant state of panic for no good reason. So if you've been feeling on edge or restless or suddenly overthinking everything, that's not just in your head. It's those hormone shifts, and they impact our serotonin and our cortisol, and it can heighten our anxiety or even trigger panic. And let me tell you, I have been the recipient of that panic. Again, no good reason. Middle of the night, I'm in my bed. I'm safe and sound, and yet I am scared of what I don't know. So, one of the things that may be helpful, and I used to think that's foolishness, but breath work, like just breathing deep in 4 seconds, holding it, and then 4 seconds out. You know, the thing that really helps me, as you can see how I like to talk a lot, I talk about it. It's literally one of the reasons why I started this podcast, because I had to get this out. Silence makes anxiety grow louder because it's all in your head, right? You keep it in your head, and we can have some incredibly vivid imaginations. So if you're like me, talk about it. Start a podcast, talk about it, or come and talk to me about it. All right. So the fifth one is, why do I feel invisible even in rooms I used to own? Right. And this one hits really deep because it's not just the physical of, me being in the room. It's like midlife women, we often carry decades of labor, caregiving, and then expectation, dinner, making sure the bills are paid on time, and just keeping things together. And then suddenly we're told, often we're telling it to ourselves, is that we're past our prime. I can't remember to do that. I can't do that anymore. This just doesn't work anymore. It's just never going to work. Right. And we can be our own worst enemy in that. But I want to make sure that you guys understand that it's not that we're disappearing. We're still showing up. We're just evolving. We are evolving into something so much better. So I want to reintroduce yourself to yourself. How about that? Reintroduce yourself to yourself. Write a new bio for this chapter in your life and claim your authority. Claim the wisdom that you have over your last 40, 45, 50 years. Your voice is powerful and you're not fading. You are transforming into something that is phenomenal. All right. So listen, I know I said 5, but I have one more because it came to mind, right? And one thing is that, is it okay to want more even now in my life? And this is often a time where we may think about a career change. Hello, right? We may have a dream that we're like, you know what? I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to go and I'm going to find Amelia Earhart's plane. I don't know, whatever it is that you have in you, right? And maybe it's just, I need some peace and quiet. I need some peace and some quiet, right? Whatever those desires are, they're not selfish, all right? Perimenopause can be a wake-up call to live more intentionally. That's why I put on this shirt. I don't know if you guys can see intentionally you. But it is a wake-up call. And we don't have to settle for less. We can dream. We can change careers. We can choose who we're going to spend our time with. We can be the person that we always wanted to be. All right. So let's breathe. Let's enjoy this season and understand it is not the end. It is really an invitation to be your best self. All right. So I know I said 5, I added 6. There we go. But before I wrap up, I hope that this was helpful for you. I want you to remember, you're not broken, you're becoming. And I love saying that. You're not broken, because I felt like I was broken. I felt that my mind was broken. But I love who I am becoming, and I'm still becoming. So every symptom, every shift, every moment of what's happening to me, it's also an opportunity for you to come home to yourself. All right. So if this resonated with you, share with someone, share with your sister, your aunt, your cousin, your friend, your coworker, your niece, or your nephew. All right. Because men need to know this too. They're going to be, they could very well be those partners that really need to understand what's happening. So yeah, go ahead and share it with the men folks too. All right. But I also want to invite you to something in person, not just here, although I definitely want you to come back. I want to invite you to a perimenopause event that I'm going to be hosting on Saturday, October 18th. And it's at the Bowden Street Nurturing Center in Dorchester. It's going to be from 10 to 12, and it's called Thrive Through Perimenopause, where we're going to have fun as we go deeper into the relief strategies, the mindset reset, but just really understanding what's going on with ourselves. Because I am a big believer that if I understood what I was going through, it would not have been as hard as it was for me. All right. So you can go ahead and register. There's a link below. You can go to teresaleen.com/thrive for more information. And I hope to see you there. All right. It is free. It is amazing. It will be community based, right? We're going to have a whole bunch of other people who are there who are feeling some of those same things, or maybe, again, kind of like what this podcast talked about, maybe they don't even know exactly what's happening. But if you've been listening to these podcasts, you know what's going on. So if you have someone in the age of, the 40 plus, just tell them to come. Because even if they're not feeling it right now, they very well may feel some of these symptoms. And we don't want it being slapped in the face like I was slapped in the face. All right. So anyway, thank you guys so much for coming. You guys be showing up. I really appreciate it. And again, I not only appreciate you guys on right now, but I appreciate when I see you in the streets or get a phone call from you and you tell me that this is good. So I feel good about it. I hope that you feel great about it. And until next time, let's take a breath. Let's honor our body, and let's keep on thriving through perimenopause. All right. Peace out. See you next week.